Hi, and welcome to this video in the series on how to use PSec GEARS for fixed income analysis in the South African financial market. And in this video, we're going to talk about the inflation-linked bonds and the related functionality. So you can see the related functions in PSec GEARS explained over here. You're welcome to pause your video, but we're going to go on and look at how to price a inflation-linked bond. And this is pretty similar to previous videos of how to price nominal bonds. So we're going to come over here, we're going to go to bond and with the suffix CPI, CPI for Consumer Price Index. It's not the most intuitive naming, but we're going to go with this. And for an output, we want to find the all-in price for a bond on a settlement date. So here, be careful, this is the trade date. We actually wanted to find the settlement date, so pt.add, add workdays. From the trade date, we want to add 3, this is the SA market convention, and the yield on the trade date was 3.87. And the rest are optional parameters, so we're going to leave them for now. You can put them in, but it wouldn't make a difference for calculating the all-in price. And this is 1.79. Again, let's put this in line with the MTM standard for per 100 Rand nominal. And then we're also going to compare this for what the JSE would have valued it. And we're going to come over here, get the bond code, get the output, and get the date. And we match the JSE valuation exactly. So let's move on to the next concept. And here we're going to calculate break-even inflation. And this is the inflation rate at which you would be indifferent between investing in an inflation-linked bond and the contrasted nominal bond. So we want to find at which inflation scenario it becomes profitable to invest in the inflation-linked bond. So there's a special function for this. So pf.break-even inflation. We're going to get the inflation-linked bond code. We're going to get the start yield for the inflation-linked bond. We're going to get the end yield. We're going to get the vanilla bond code. We're going to get the relevant start yield. We're going to get the end yield. And we're going to get the start settlement date and start end settlement date. So this is over a 1-year period. And we're going to get the reinvest rate, which we're going to put at 6%. You can set this to whatever you'd like or what is relevant to your portfolio. Where are you reinvesting your coupons from your inflation-linked bonds? And at a inflation rate of 6.75%, you would start buying inflation-linked bonds, this inflation-linked bond over this nominal bond. All right, moving on. So we're going to, similar to previous videos, calculate the total return of an inflation-linked bond, which does differ slightly because now we're adding inflation to this, but also there's multiple ways to do this total return. So there's 3 different functions available for your inflation-linked total return analysis, and this depends on where you're doing your total return analysis to. If you're looking into the future, you don't know your actual inflation, so you're going to use your average inflation. And if you want to combine a period where you know the inflation rate and a period where you don't know it, you can use your actual and average. So it's just going to use an average inflation rate for inflation we don't know yet. So this is CPI data that is not yet published to GEARS by the South African, by Stats SA, I believe. So we're going to use average inflation because we're going to be forward-looking. And we're going to come and put in our bond code. We're going to look at our start settlement date. We're going to look at our end settlement date. We're going to put in our start yield. We're going to put in our end yield. So that's not realistic, but we're just going to put in the same yield. And for reinvestment rate, let's use 6%. Again, you're free to do what you like. And we're going to use an average inflation of 6%. So what is our total return going to be over this horizon? It's going to be 11.6%. Again, if we come in here and the end yield, let's just subtract, I believe, let's subtract 0.01. you're going to get a much higher total return. And that's with the relative yield movements. And this should give you a grasp of how to calculate total returns for inflation-linked bonds. But also, you'd want to think about these base functionality as like your tools that you can do in your analysis. So just as a quick example of what one can do with these functions as kind of the building blocks to your workbooks, you can create an inflation scenario analysis. So what you'd want to come in here and do is, in your inflation scenario where there is 6% inflation over a year, what is your total return given the basis points change in yields for these bonds? So if there's 6% inflation and your yields drop by 20 basis points, your total return will be 11.44% for the R210. But as your yields drop further, remember there's an inverse relationship between price and your yield. You get higher total returns, and the same with as if they go up, you're getting lower total returns. And you can model this for different inflation scenarios. So if you say for 5%, it does look different, and similar for 7. And this is totally dynamic, so all you have to do is come in with your PF.total return average inflation. You define your bond, you define your start settlement date, you define your end settlement date, your start yield, your end yield. So this is just going to be the start yield plus the basis point change. And you're going to define your inflation scenario. Once you have this, all you have to do, you can drag the formula across, you can drag it down, and you have a scenario analysis for your fixed income returns, for your inflation-linked returns. And that's it for this video. Join us again in the next one.